This is the time of year where rumors turn into reality, where front offices get aggressive, and the entire league can shift with just one deal. And we've got a loaded preview lined up for you, from free agent predictions to potential blockbuster trades to the teams that are under the most pressure. We're covering it all. So lock in, get comfortable, and get ready for a full breakdown of what could be an absolutely franchise-altering week across Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Banter Broadcast Show.
What is going on, baseball fans? We are back at it once again here at the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And tonight we have a very special Winter Meetings preview show. And we are honored to be joined by our guest from Babes and ONNJ, Jonna Perlinger. Jonna, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm excited. Always love to talk baseball all seasons of the year. So I'm glad to be here.
And we're glad to have you on with us. So as we kind of get started here, with the winter meetings, we know sometimes we may have new fans that may not understand what the winter meetings are. Anybody want to kind of dive in as to what the winter meetings look like? Go ahead, Dave.
Speed dating for Major League Baseball teams. Literally.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to go Costco shopping.
If only.
It's speed dating, bro. They're at a hotel. They're making their rounds. It's speed dating. That's it.
It's a very apt description.
Don't worry. There's more where that came from.
Lots of coffee is what I'm told. So to be determined.
For sure. And obviously we know, as we've seen over the past few years, there's been a lot of big moves that happen at the winter meetings. Obviously, several years back for us Yankee fans, Garrett Cole was signed at the winter meetings. Last year, the Juan Soto extravaganza happened at the winter meetings. So what do we expect to be kind of the big move, the big news that happens at this year's winter meetings?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with the top three free agents, right? You got Edwin Diaz, Cody Bellinger, and Kyle Tucker. I mean, I don't really think anything massive other than those three is going to happen, because a lot of things that, as we're seeing now with the Sonny Gray trade, Nimmo getting traded for Marcus Semien, you got Corey Seager trying to get out of his contract and get traded. So I think you're going to see bigger moves being done via trade. But once those top three guys sign, we've seen it in years past where all the other dominoes just kind of fall into place. And I'm predicting that those top three probably get signed between days 2 and 4 of the winter meetings. We saw with Juan Soto, it basically happened as the winter meetings were ending. In the middle of the night, it broke at like 3 o'clock in the morning because we were all sitting on the edge of our seat waiting to hit live on our own podcasts, waiting for this thing to fall. And it didn't until literally in the middle of the night, well, beginning of the wee hours in the morning. But that's my prediction, that it's nothing major is going to happen until those three guys sign, and then the rest will be as it may. I mean, I was talking to Mark, before we did our last episode of the Bronx Muchachos this week, that totally lost my train of thought. That this is probably like one of the weakest free agent classes we've seen in recent memory. I mean, there's really not that much starting pitching out there. We're seeing relievers getting paid like starting pitchers, like the New York Mets picking up our latest ex-girlfriend, Devin Williams, for 3 years at $50 million for whatever reason. Obviously, they weren't watching what was happening in the Bronx this past season, but it was a total you-know-what. But that's my prediction for the winter meetings.
Johnny, want to go?
I personally don't think we will see both Bellinger and Tucker, because I think one is kind of hinging on the other. And so I think we will see, in my opinion, I think we'll see Bellinger. I think we'll see a Bellinger and Yankees deal happen. And I think Tucker will happen at the very end of the meetings or like after. I think Pete Alonso is definitely happening after. I do agree. I don't know who said Kyle Schwarber, but I think that one will be one that will happen. I could maybe see Edwin Diaz, but not sure on that one. But I don't think Tucker and Bellinger are going to happen that close to each other.
I had seen someone say that, one of the reporters say that too. Probably Tucker would not go at the winter meetings. I don't know why he picked Tucker, but maybe Bellinger seems like he'll go because of I don't know. Bellinger, he could easily end up back with the Dodgers, it seems to me like. I mean, there's no the Yankees, if Yankee fans are thinking that's just a slam dunk, I don't think it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's a lot of potential suitors for Cody Bellinger. I mean, we've heard a lot of different teams mentioned. Cubs, Yankees, Dodgers, Mets have been mentioned for Cody Bellinger. I think, even Philadelphia has been a place that has been, bandied about as far as for his services. Cody, to me, and obviously part of this is the Scott Boras factor, right? Boras has basically 90% of everybody that's ever at the winter meetings, but it's also somebody that, because of his versatility, being able to play all three outfield spots, being able to play first base, all at a gold glove caliber level, you're now finding yourself in a position where this is arguably the most coveted free agent of this class.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, conversation that this free agent class has been a little bit weaker than in some past years. So it's going to be interesting to see, what that first domino is.
Yeah. So I got a little bit of a tidbit on Bellinger. Some news has come out that that the Yankees are offering 5 years and Bellinger wants 7 to 8. So they're apart on years. There's no dollar amount that's been exchanged, but they are a year, 2 to 3 years apart on the time frame.
Wait. I thought your boy Hal said that he was bargain brand shopping. I thought he's trying to chop down.
Oh, he will be. Don't worry.
Okay.
He will be.
All right.
He signed Ryan Yarbrough for $2.5 million. First, they go out and they get Trent that qualifying offer that he accepts. And before that, Hal's saying he wants to stay under $300 million. They sign Grisham for $22.5, and then they go and sign Ryan Yarbrough for $2.5 million. They give Clark Schmidt $4 million. They give Oswaldo Cabrera $2.5 million. It's like, which is it? You're staying under $300 million, or you're blowing past your own guardrails? Like, make up your mind. Tell us the truth about what you're doing.
Question: since when do baseball teams actually go above $90 million a year? I've never heard of that. That actually happens.
Since when does the Yankees ever tell us what's really happening?
Oh yeah, that's true.
George used to.
Yeah,
That's George.
Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that anymore.
No.
Not at all.
No,
it's really interesting to see kind of how the dynamic has changed across Major League Baseball with all of the different revenue sharing with the new TV deals and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see now how many more teams are kind of trying to play in that upper echelon. And obviously, teams like the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers over the past few years have been the ones that have kind of dominated the upper echelon of that market. But we're starting to see other teams play a factor. I mean, Dave, you brought up Corey Seager. Think about a few years ago, Seager and Simeon both got absolutely ridiculous deals from the Texas Rangers. The Rangers way back in 2001, went out and blew the market away and kind of set the trend for all of these large contracts when they went out and signed A-Rod. So I think that it's interesting to see kind of how things are shaking out now. But I do agree with you, Dave. I think that it's funny to see how talking out of both sides of his mouth, essentially, with what the organization is doing on one hand and what he's saying in the other. Now, I'm curious, Jonna, what was your impression when Grisham was given the qualifying offer and then obviously subsequently signing?
Yeah, my initial reaction was, maybe this means we're sending, I mean, this obviously has to mean we're sending Dominguez somewhere, right? Like, that was my initial reaction. I sat on it a little while and I was like, I don't know if they're confident they're going to sign Bellinger.
Exactly.
I think he's the contingency plan. I think they got burned last year on the Soto deal and they're scared it's going to happen again with Bellinger, and they have to go sign a Gold Glove defender, you know, a lefty bat. Like, there's like, we have to do this. So that's, I kind of went back and forth, but I think he's their contingency plan.
Yeah, I mean that kind of seems the way that they're operating, you know, especially with the, you know, kind of confirmed quotes that they have as far as saying that they're comfortable with still going after Bellinger even with Grisham accepting the offer. So I think that falls in line with what you're thinking there. Now, if you guys were running your own respective squads, which free agent would be the more appealing pick to you if you're looking for an outfielder, Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger?
Aiden, what do you got?
Cody Bellinger.
Why?
Because I don't think Kyle Tucker can produce consistently. Last year he didn't really do as good as I thought he would, honestly. And as a Cardinals fan, I watched him multiple times a year, and it didn't feel like the Astros Kyle Tucker. And Cody Bellinger's been pretty consistent, but
Yeah, I can see
that's
what you
just
mean
how
with
I
that.
see it.
So just to kind of piggyback on that for you, we have let me see here. So this was for the 2025 season, as you said. You know, a lot more of Cody Bellinger's stats were higher of the two by comparison. Obviously, there was, you know, partial season where Tucker was hurt, so that wasn't necessarily something that was you know, kind of given the opportunity to see a full season side by side comparison between the two. But even when you look at them as their careers as a whole, starting from 2018, when Kyle Tucker's first year in the league, so kind of skipping a year of Bellinger, you know, they're a lot more evenly matched, you know, in terms of the different statistics that they have. So it's interesting to see, you know, kind of which domino were to fall first. I think that's really where we would kind of see the difference in the market. Now, obviously, you know, as I said earlier, Scott Boras is Bellinger's agent, and we know how much Scott tends to dominate these markets, and especially the winter meetings. So, what do we kind of think will be the way that Scott Boras decides to play this with all the number of clients that he has?
The first team to give us a 10-year deal will get the first dibs, I guess. You know, who's going to give 10 years? Anyone 10 years? No. Okay, nine. Anyone 9?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that that's kind of how it goes down.
So, auctioneer style.
Pretty much. Did you say something, St. Louis? No? Okay, were you just scratching your ear? Okay, next. 8. Anybody 8? No? Yeah, I have a feeling it's probably going to go with something like that, man.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. So, who do we think will be the first signing that happens at the winter meetings?
You know, catching's always pretty. Go ahead.
I can still see Schwarber. I can see Schwarber being kind of on the verge of something.
Where do you think he ends up? Because there's a lot of conversation about where Schwarber has been drawing interest. I mean, obviously we know every year there's that small market team that goes out and spends big just to avoid an issue with the Players Association. So this offseason seems like it's going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates, because they've been the one kind of their name in the ring with different free agents. But we've seen, you know, reports about San Francisco looking at him. Obviously, a reunion in Philadelphia is always a possibility, a reunion in Boston. Where do we think Kyle ends up?
I could see any of those, and maybe even Toronto.
That's an interesting one.
Well, of course, Cub fans are clamoring for Schwarber to come back. And, you know, supposedly, if you believe the clickbait, he's eager to go back. So I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I'd love it if he was in Chicago again. And he's a character, and I love the characters of the game on top of it. He's an interesting follow, so to speak.
Yeah, some of the
On top of being great.
Yeah, some of the clickbait about Schwarber is him going towards his hometown team of the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep.
Oof.
Who would want to do that? Like, I get it. He made the wild card, which was kind of unexpected just because of how it all shook out. But honestly, I could see him going. If the Cubs lose Tucker, I think he goes back to Chicago because he can slide right in as the DH. He'll fit perfectly. He's been there, won there. They love him there. So I could definitely see him going back to the Cubs if they lose out on Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, it would be an interesting fit. I think, the issue then with Schwarber and going back to Wrigley would be, the outfield situation. Obviously, Tucker was hurt, so he had to play a lot more DH than what the Cubs were probably expecting. But it'll be interesting to see if that's kind of the mold that they decide to go, is try to load up on that offense.
That's why I said if they lose Tucker, just because of the reason that he was injured and did have to spend a lot of time at the DH position, even when he came back. That's the only reason why that move would make sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I want to know who are we thinking is the most desperate team heading into the winter meetings?
The Yankees.
Why?
Oh, let's see. We haven't won a World Series since 2009. Everybody hates the ownership group and the GM. Got slapped in the face, slapped in the mouth by the Blue Jays. Damn near lost the Red Sox if it wasn't for Cam Schlittler saving our season. So, yeah, I would say we are pretty desperate. I mean, you're desperate enough. You go dumpster diving at the Dollar General for spare parts come the trade deadline. I mean,
I don't know. I think it depends who you're asking. Because if you're asking fans, then yes, we're desperate. But if you're asking the front office, they think they're doing great. I don't think that they have the sense of urgency that we want them to have. So if you're asking the front office, I don't think they're that desperate. But that's my opinion. I think we are, but I don't know about them.
Yeah.
And look, to bring up the fan base too, until the fans rally together and start boycotting games like we saw the Red Sox Nation do back in the mid 2010s when the team was total garbage, until it starts hitting hell in the pocket, they're not going to do anything because New York City is a tourist attraction. People go to Yankees games just because it's something to do. It's a sight to see, and they're going to make money either way. So until it starts affecting Hal's bottom line and the revenue that he's making, although according to him, the Yankees don't make any money and they're broke, even though they made $700 million last year. So
I'm sorry, Donna, go ahead.
Sorry, Chris. I just want to say, I think the Astros are going to be desperate because they missed last year, and I think they're going to be buyers. I mean, I don't know how they can't really be like big buyers, but I think they'll probably be trying to swindle some trades and stuff. So I feel like they're probably desperate.
I was thinking the Astros, but here's the thing. I don't know how competitive they're going to be because they're in that weird neutral zone. I mean, can they be one of the wild card teams? Are they good enough to beat essentially the Mariners? Right. Is what we're looking at. So the answer is right now, no. Anywhere, at least in my opinion. Now, we were talking about Bellinger to the Seattle Mariners. That would be very interesting because they had a player, Luke Raley, who was essentially a really, really, really poor man's Cody Bellinger. And he's not there anymore. And he would slide in perfectly because he can play the outfield. He can play first base like Luke Raley. They were already incorporating that style of guy. But getting back to you, I don't see the Astros. I mean, I was thinking about who's the most desperate. Milwaukee. That's the team that seems to be in that area of relevancy. I'm trying to think of teams out west. Maybe the Padres, but the Padres possibly because they got a lot of money invested into that team for them not to be relevant. So.
Yeah, I think with the Padres, though, the ownership debacle right now, and whether or not they're going to sell the team is kind of going to hamstring them. We may end up seeing things of, strange factors that may play into that and might see some players coming off of that team as opposed to being added to it.
Can you not mention new ownership to me, please? I'm coming off of that. My panic attacks are dissipating. Thank you.
I think the Padres are going to be desperate to be sellers.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
I think the Giants are going to be more desperate to be buyers, with their new Tony Vitello coming in. New
Okay.
staff coming in. I think they were right there last year. And the Red Sox too, right?
Yeah,
They're obviously trying to be buyers. So
The Orioles, to be honest with you, because the Orioles are one season removed from being very good, and they really just hit a flat tire. So I think they would be an interesting team that could make a splash, but they got a really good core there, so it's hard to say. So I don't have a definitive answer from the representative from Tampa Bay. Sorry.
Now, we kind of brought up the Padres, so that kind of leads me into the kind of next section here is who do we think is going to really be those names that are on the trade block? We know that's one of the big things that happens at the winter meetings every year. We start to see those big trades. Obviously back in 2024, we had the Juan Soto deal that went down. So obviously, what are kind of the big names as far as being able to be traded? Now, we have a Cardinals fan in house where there's quite a bit of clamoring and chatter as far as some guys that could make their move from there. So who do you think can come off of the Cardinals roster, and where do you see them going, dude?
Personally, I saw Sonny Gray going. I see Brendan Donovan going to one of those teams. I can see them moving Jojo Romero, their top reliever. I can see them moving, if they can't get Donovan, I can see them moving Burleson. But their main thing is they really want Arenado gone. So those are my main 4.
Yeah, I just saw a report today actually that Wilson Contreras has been willing now to move his or waive his no trade clause. So that could be another guy that's on the move. What are some other teams that we think could see some players coming off the roster? We mentioned the Padres. Obviously, Michael Kay famously a couple of weeks ago mentioned, the Yankees should look into Fernando Tatis Jr. So what other players, what other teams do we think could be on the move this winter meetings and this offseason?
The Marlins, I can see them making a trade for Alcantara. They got a good solid core. If they can turn Alcantara into a piece or two for a team that is quote unquote desperate, who's looking to make a splash, Alcantara in pinstripes, that could be interesting. I would hate that, for the record. Absolutely. That's like seeing your neighbor who already has a good looking family, then getting the nice Rolls Royce. And it's like, really? No. But no, Alcantara down here in Florida is somebody that could be interesting. Alcantara to the well, it would never happen because they're in division, but to the Braves, that could be very interesting. But I can see Alcantara going. I don't think anybody from the Rays, unless they're really knocked off, is moved. Jeremy, we talked about it during our segment about the state of the Rays. People are talking about Yandy Diaz. People are talking about Brandon Lau. I know there's some flirtations with the Pirates have looked into a Brandon Lau trade, which I find that hilarious. Unless we're talking Paul Skeens, no, hang up the phone. Thank you. I'm kidding, for the record. I'm kidding. But no, it's just so I don't see the
What's in that coffee you're drinking, bud?
I'm still celebrating the new year. Okay.
Here's Roman's mock trades for the Pirates for Paul Skeens. Junior Caminero straight up for Paul Skeens. Yeah, I'm sure Ben Cherington will get right on the phone with that one.
Oh, man. I was listening to Baseball America this morning, and they said the Marlins wouldn't move the pitchers. Like Alcantara's not going anywhere. That was their impression, that the Marlins weren't really going to actually trade away either Alcantara or Cabrera.
Or Eri Perez.
And that might be right. I mean, he's been in the talks several of the past trade deadlines and free agent years, and nothing's happened, right? So they must be wanting something big for them.
And according to Jim Bowden the other day, the Yankees and the Marlins have been having talks about sending Alcantara to New York. There
Oh,
is
okay.
smoke there.
So
So
like that, we hear that rumor every trade deadline and every free agency period for the last like 2 years. So I just don't.
So
I just think that they
Well-
like want an overhaul of our prospects that we're not willing to give.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when Pablo Lopez was the big deal, and now the Twins are trying possibly to maybe trade him.
well, that trade fell apart because the Yankees didn't want to give up Oswald Peraza and wanted the Marlins. So it was going to be Glaber and Aaron Hicks for Pablo Lopez, and then the Marlins came back and said, "Well, we want Oswald Peraza in addition," and the Yankees told him to get bent.
My God, I would have thrown him in.
How about Buxton? Anyone think
Yeah.
that he's gonna get moved?
Yeah.
I think his
Oof.
injury history is too checkered for him to. The injury history compounded with that contract that he has.
Mhm.
I don't see him being moved. It would have happened last year when they moved Correa.
Well, so last year he was very adamant about not waiving his no trade. And so this year there's already reports that he's kind of more open to it. I think we could see him get moved. I think what would happen in that kind of move, though, would be something where he's going to a warmer climate. I think a lot of what's happening with his body is that cold in Minnesota. So I think that you could see him maybe going back to Atlanta where he's from. If they make a move there, I could see him waiving his no trade clause. I think that in certain instances and certain places, Buxton would be more willing to waive that no trade.
Just real quick, I want to add a tidbit back on the Marlins. The Marlins GM is a guy named Peter Bendix. Peter Bendix, he cut his teeth with the Rays, and the Rays are notorious for we're not in until we're in. Oh no, well I don't know. We're talking winter meetings. James Shields, okay? James Shields was traded around this time period to the Royals, along with Wade Davis, who was a throw-in for Will Myers. Yeah, that really turned out well for the Royals.
I
So,
thought
but no,
Gabe Kapler was their new GM.
who for
The
For who?
Marlins.
No, not that I know of. Peter Bendix.
Didn't Kapler get hired somewhere as someone's GM? I think it was the Marlins.
I'm pretty. Yeah, I want to say that you're right, Dave.
Well, Peter
Wow.
Bendix is one of the
Not
presidents of
Meaning to
operations
fact
staff.
check anybody by any means, but I'm
No,
pretty
no, no,
sure
no,
the
no,
Marlins
that's-
hired Kapler as their GM.
You know what?
Yeah,
Gabe
they
Kapler's
did.
good dude.
Not
He's the
GM. I don't
GM.
think GM. I don't think that he's not the GM. But he's in their front office, but not the GM. But yes, he did get hired by the Marlins.
Okay, so we're both half right. Cool.
Yeah. Well, back to the Twins.
I'm more right than you are.
Oops, sorry. Back to the
Sorry.
Twins. They're either going to sell everything or not. And what about Joe Ryan?
Uh,
That'd be a nice
They-
pickup.
Any chance of him getting? I mean,
They-
the Yankees.
I just have to say, we Yankee fans, like, we think that we're getting someone from like every team. It's
I
so
know.
funny. We're all like, oh yeah, he'd be great. Oh yeah. Like we always think that we're
Well, I always think, what could he do for us?
right.
You know?
No, he would be
Yeah.
a great pickup.
the Rays are like that, but we're that way with AA guys. It's like, oh man, this guy's really killing it in
We'll
Biloxi.
get from the Yankees.
Oof. Yeah. Oh man. Yes.
Oh man, that's a good one. But no, yeah, I think Joe Ryan's an interesting, player. We know that he was very close to being acquired by the Red Sox last trade deadline. But the Twins, wanted a little bit more than what was being offered. So I think that's a pretty interesting thing there.
Yeah. Whoever would trade Joe Ryan is an idiot. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially for Nelson Cruz. For
Aiden,
half
what are
the
your
season.
thoughts, man? We got to get you
Um,
involved in this conversation.
Well, what I saw is that if they move Pablo Lopez, they're not going to move Joe Ryan. And if they move Joe Ryan, they're not going to move Pablo Lopez.
Yeah.
But I guess the question for me then becomes at that point, if you're moving one but not the other, what do you have left to keep building around? So what would not be the reason to move both and re-up
Yeah.
that far?
That's a little confusing too, because it's like there's Royce Lewis, there's Byron Buxton, then there's those two guys. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no one else really. It's all AAA guys who got called up because they needed to fill roster spots.
Yeah. And like the thing with the Twins, in my opinion, if you're gonna tear it down, tear it down. You know, you did a soft reset and then you blame it on Rocco Baldelli. It's like you traded away all of his players. And I'm not saying that because, you know, Rocco is from my home state of Rhode Island and love the guy to death, but like I just couldn't stand how they removed all of his talent and then turn around and say, well, it's the manager's fault. It's like you brought up a bunch of kids from AAA. What did you think was going to happen? I mean, granted, they had been out of the wild card race since like May or June, but if you're going to tear it down, tear it down. Don't do this half-ass soft reset and then try to play checkers with what you have. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see, you know, what direction they actually go. If they actually go, like you said, a full rebuild, or whether they're trying to, in, you know, a very kind of watered down, in my opinion, American League Central. I think that there's, you know, opportunities there that we may not be seeing. Obviously, we know the White Sox are still in full rebuild mode, but the Twins, having sold everything off, you're not really sure what the Royals are or who they are. You know, 2 years ago they were in the postseason. Last year they were barely above 500. You know, the Tigers obviously had that big collapse where they almost missed the postseason. You know, the Guardians are always in there no matter what. They always find a way to win. So it's interesting to me to see what kind of direction they make. So it's interesting to see them as potentially, you know, a seller in this market as well.
Well, they need a closer.
Yeah, they need a lot of things.
Maybe they'll do a lot better this year without their pitchers getting concerned about who they walk or who they strike out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. I'll take that.
Got him.
So one of the things that I wanted to kind of highlight and spotlight here is I want to know kind of from everybody who is potentially a sleeper trade target or a player that could be potentially traded that is kind of the most intriguing to you.
Oof.
I'll go.
Jonna?
I think because this is a guy I've had my eye on for a long time. He's an excellent outfielder. He was a Gold Glove candidate 2 years in a row. Brenton Doyle. I see him going somewhere like small market, but still like a competitive team. Maybe the A's, maybe like the Guardians. I don't know. Something like that. That's what I'm thinking. Like he's not going to like a big team, but he's going to a team that's going to be competitive, but small market.
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking of that as well. So I've been working through our off-season plans, and one of the next teams that I'm dealing with is the Guardians. So he's a name that was kind of on my list there. So
yeah, I mean, if Stephen Kwan, if Stephen Kwan ends up getting moved, I don't know. But yeah, I could totally see them picking him up.
I got 3. So Stephen Kwan's definitely at the top of the list, but I don't know if the Guardians move him because they've kind of built their team around him as their leadoff hitter. So they kind of be shooting themselves in the foot. They did that. The Yankees need some starting pitching help. I wouldn't mind seeing them pick up the phone and try to get their hands on Logan Allen. Trying to take my personal bias out of this, but we need some starting pitching considering Rodon, Cole, and Schmidt are all out until the earliest May or June. Having another lefty in the rotation, you can stick Yarbrough in the bullpen where he belongs as a long reliever or just an innings eater overall. And then the next one I got is O'Neal Cruz, who we spoke about, Jay, getting moved. The Pirates do this weird thing where if guys that have incentives or if they're doing really well, they either release them or trade them before their incentives kick in.
Yeah.
Rowdy Tellez was $700,000. They shafted Andrew Heaney $100,000 for being a couple of innings short, which I can't wrap my head around that one. But I could definitely see O'Neal Cruz going somewhere. maybe a small market team, maybe a big market team. It all depends on who needs outfield help at that point. And then Tatis Jr., has been linked to the Yankees. I'm apprehensive about it because he's one bad PED test away from getting banned for life. And if you're giving up top talent for someone like that, and say, God forbid, he does pop hot, now you're out the player you traded for, and you're out the prospects that you sent over to San Diego to get him. So those are my sleepers.
I'll go. I think the Rays have to do some sort of upgrade somewhere, whether it's the outfield or the infield, specifically at shortstop, as much as I love Taylor Walls. If they can get someone like, I'm not saying Corey Seager to the Rays, please. No, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid here, but a player like that, because they do have the capital with the prospects. They do have the prospects to make a splash like that if they wanted to. So I can see the Rays probably not the top shelf. They'll probably go like not the top shelf, but the mid shelf is where will they be at. I can see them making a move like that. They surprised a lot of people by the Hassan Kim deal last year.
Yes.
So you can clearly see that the intent is there, and they were willing to invest $39 million into the Hassan Kim project. Which, why did he decline the option from the Braves is beyond me. But hey, no problem. He knows something that we don't, apparently. But in terms of other moves to be made, again, there's a lot of teams that are a move or two away from being serious contenders. There's a lot of gray area teams out there. So it could be very interesting. The Ward trade earlier from the Angels really was very interesting. And I'm curious to see where we evolve from here. But I can see a lot of chaos because also we have the potential lockout coming up. So that could be very interesting. So everybody buckle up. This could be interesting, guys. Just saying.
Absolutely. Chris, Aiden wants to go next.
Yeah, I was thinking about, because the Yankees have so freaking seriously disappointed me in signing these the big stars. I mean, I'm still pissed about Bryce Harper. I haven't got over that yet. So I was
It's
kind of
been
thinking
6
about who
years.
the Yankees might trade for in the outfield, and I was thinking, what about? I mean, Buxton, obviously, but the injuries. We've already got Stanton, who's made of glass. No thanks. But what about Joe Adell from the Angels? Or no?
I mean,
Or
go for it.
Jake McCarthy from the Diamondbacks?
Strikes out too much.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. You guys go ahead. Go for it.
And Brenton Doyle, I had on my list also, who John already brought up. So yeah, I'm not convinced that the Yankees are going to actually make write the big check to either Bellinger or Tucker. And then if they don't do that, we probably are going to get to it, but we can talk about what will happen instead.
I told Jeremy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to run over.
No, let's go. I told.
Sorry.
Sorry, Jay. Go.
It's just interesting because the races have been a lot closer lately. Like this last year, like the race to the postseason was last minute. There were so many teams that were right there.
Yep.
And so there are not going to be as many teams selling. There just aren't. And I think that's a trend we've been seeing lately because more people have more money now. And, obviously money doesn't have much to do with the trades, but I'm just saying, I don't see as many teams being sellers. And that's when it gets like even more interesting.
That's good for baseball, though, too. I mean, it makes it competitive. It gives these teams that their fans going to spring training every year going, well, we're going to be in last place again. So, right. I mean,
like even the A's are competitive now, right? Like they have a lot of young guys that are exciting to watch.
Yeah, and like look at the case of the Reds.
I'm sorry about the Cardinals. They got to get it together.
Like the Reds, that was their first playoff appearance, I believe, since the 1990s, if I'm not mistaken. So
2013-ish, but
yeah.
What? I thought it was the 90s for some reason.
No, but I agree. I think that, we saw kind of these races come down to the last couple of days. I mean, think the Yankees and the Blue Jays were battling and ended up with the same record. The Blue Jays had the tiebreaker, and that's how they got the division, and the Yankees were in the wild card. You think about the Tigers collapse allowed the Guardians to fight back and take that division by a game. So I think you're completely right, John. I think that there's a lot of more teams that are closer into that mix, that there's going to be far less sellers. And even some of the teams that we know are consistent sellers, we've been hearing them being mentioned this offseason as looking into adding players. And whether that's because of the lockout, like you mentioned, Roman, the impending, obviously we hope not, but the impending lockout is likely happening. And what that looks like in the future, what baseball looks like after that, we're not really sure. So it's going to be interesting to see, whether these teams are going to kind of try and hold on to some of their younger players. A team like the Cardinals try to offload as many of those big contracts as they can to try to, reevaluate after what potentially baseball could look like, how different it could look after that lockout. So I think it's very interesting how things could shake out, especially we'll start to really see what teams are doing at the winter meetings. I think this is one of those times where we really start to see, all right, who's going to be buyers, who's going to be sellers, and where things kind of shake out.
Well, given the fact that the winter meetings falls during my off cycle at work, I'm going to try to get down to the hotel in Orlando and see if I can get some inside info.
I will be there. I am.
You're going too?
In media, I am credentialed,
Nice.
so I will be there.
Nice. Do you have to have credentials to get into the hotel?
Yes.
Well, so much for that.
But all
I'm going to have to get a hold of my source and yell at him now because he gave me bad info. He and I might have to throw hands.
So now, as we kind of bring it to a little bit of a more of a fun part to this trade segment, right? So one of the things that I wanted to ask everybody too was the no way this trade happens scenario. So what is no way this trade happens scenario for the winter meetings of this year?
Paul Skeens for Spencer
Yeah.
Jones, Jason Dominguez, and George Lombard Jr.
Yeah.
I think every Yankee fan is putting that one in.
Bro, I don't care if that's what it took to get him. I don't sell the damn farm. Give them everybody. I do not care.
Agreed.
Yeah, I also don't see Scooble getting moved. Like I just don't.
No.
Why would they? They were right
Yeah.
there too. And they just re-signed Gleyber Torres. Like they're obviously wanting to compete again, and they will because they are right there. So why would they move Scooble? I think a lot of these teams who they have a guy in their last year like Scooble, they're gonna wait and see what's going on at the deadline.
Yep.
Ultimately, they don't care about winning it all. So obviously, if they would do something like that, I mean, their commitment to winning is pretty slim if that happens.
I mean,
Exactly.
I don't think Detroit has a lack of commitment to winning. I think all these Scooble trade rumors are just Twitter making stuff up and circulating rumors.
Yeah.
I don't think the Tigers are looking to move him at all.
Yeah, I think that's Chris was just saying, right? You were just saying like if they did do that, that would.
Oh yeah, if that happened, it would be.
Yeah, which
I clearly.
I
misunderstood.
Throwing in the
My bad.
towel.
Yeah, no, I just meant if that happened, they would say we don't believe in that we're going to compete. So.
Yeah. I think the other thing with Scooble is that he's a Boris guy, so he's not signing almost to 100% certainty. He's not signing an extension. He's going to free agency.
Oh yeah.
So, I think for Detroit, the way that you kind of, woo him back is put a team around him that is going to be able to not just compete for the division, but really try and make a run for the postseason, a deep run in the postseason. So now what are some of the other no way this trade happens scenarios for you guys? Roman, Aiden?
So I don't see Stephen Kwan being moved. I see all these crazy predictions that he's going to the Dodgers. I just don't see the Guardians giving up their main hitter that's not named Jose Ramirez.
All right. So the trade that I have is Mike Trout, no way he's being traded for anybody. You know,
Who'd
yeah.
want him?
You
I
know,
don't know,
Just
man.
kidding. Just kidding.
I definitely could see that happening, though. Them moving him.
I could see
would-
them
honestly. I mean,
the Angels in that weird spot, that weird spot that we're talking about, where I think if they were completely in the rebuild mode, sure. But you know, I mean, sheesh.
I just
trade
think they
Mike
have
Trout.
they just have an owner that does not know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, I think the Angels are in a spot right now where they have too much money on the books that they can't do anything with. And realistically, the only place that I can see a Mike trade happening, a Mike Trout trade happening, is to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And that's the only place I can see him moving and waiving his no trade clause for, is to go back home to Philadelphia. That's the only thing I can see. And, you know, for Philly, he's too much of an injury risk at this point to really make that commitment. So
Yeah.
unless you're getting a sweetheart deal where the Angels are taking back, you know, Nick Castellanos and kicking in money into the deal to take Trout and put him in right field in Citizens Bank Park, I find it very hard to see him getting moved.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves it in LA, like in Anaheim. I think he wants to be there. So I don't know. I don't see it happening.
I also think that for him, he's kind of, you know, the last of a dying breed, if you will, of guys that were drafted and played their whole career with one organization. I think that he really had that in his heart when he signed that extension. Like, he's going to be a career Angel. Like, when he goes into the Hall of Fame, he's wearing an Angels hat like that, you know, just like with Cal and the Orioles, with Jeter and the Yankees, like one team, one franchise, drafted through the end of his Hall of Fame career. To me, that's what Trout wanted, which is why he signed the deal that he did. Was he's staying there?
Yeah.
So I
think his wife likes it there too.
Yeah, I think that if he gets moved, it's only to go home to Philly.
I could see like a Darren Dalton type of situation where near the end of his career, you know what, he played plenty, and then he'll have half a season somewhere. You know, I could see that type of scenario happening, especially if it's the Phillies are one player away, or it's a good story because, oof. Like I threw the Trout trade out there as a joke almost, but you know, the more I'm talking about it, it's like, yeah, I could see that happening. Okay, yeah. So that goes to show you what I know, guys.
Now, obviously, I think, you know, when you kind of throw out these dream trade scenarios, obviously Paul Skeens to the Yankees is a dream trade scenario for us. I think, you know, if the Yankees were getting crazy and we're playing MLB The Show, you go get Tatis and Paul Skeens. But obviously the prospect capital was definitely not there to facilitate something like that. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see kind of, we always tend to see these moves, right, that you never really thought to happen. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out.
Well, the prospect capital with those two trades, I don't think would be an issue because you are taking on a ton of money from the Padres and Tatis Jr., which is only going to go up as the years go on. His last year, he's due to make $35 million at the age of 37 years old. So you could get Tatis with giving up either Jones or Dominguez, not both, and then, you know, LaGrange and whoever else you want to throw in as pitchers down the line. But with Skeens, you would definitely have to give up Jones, Lombard Jr., probably Roderick Arias, and whoever else. ERC is another one that comes to mind. Yeah. Rodriguez Cruz, who I do not want to see traded at all.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Yankees is we overhauled our whole bullpen. So we have a ton of work to do to fill that bullpen back up. So trades we're making, we're getting some arms.
Yeah.
It's all right. Mark Leiter Jr. will probably get a 3-year, $45 million contract
from the Mets.
From the Mets.
So I think that segues perfectly into what Dave was talking about right before we went live. So if you want to bring that back up now.
Yeah, like the Mets are like, that friend that hangs out in the corner and waits for their best friend to break up with their girlfriend, and then like 2 months later starts dating that girlfriend, that ex-girlfriend. That's who the New York Mets are. They're like sitting there waiting. Ooh, Clay Holmes. Yeah, he blew a save. He had record-breaking 32 blown saves, and one of them was a grand slam against the Rangers. Let's get him. Oh, by the way, he's our opening day starter and our ace. Oh, Juan Soto. Oh, the Yankees won't give you a private suite? Cool. We'll give you one. And now Devin Williams, $50 million over 3 years. What's he doing? Getting $1 million for every save he's gonna blow? Like,
I keep seeing that Steve Cohen is secretly a Yankee fan, and that's why they're like, all of our
I'm
garbage.
telling you, something's up.
Listen,
Something's up, man. But that's who the New York Mets are. They're the friend that waits for you to break up with your girlfriend, and they're Mr. Steal Your Girl.
there you go.
Mets that steal your girl.
Yeah, this is why no one likes the Mets. It's like, you guys are a joke. Oh, Frankie Montas, they signed him too. They threw away $25 million on him to sit home and watch TV.
Yep.
See, the Dodgers are kind of that way for the Rays, but it's the upgrade, where it's like, hey, come here, Tyler. Come on, Blake. Yeah, come on, everybody. Just Kevin Kiermaier. It's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, this is
Maybe
great.
the Mets are going to start placing bets on Devin Williams blowing saves.
Well,
They'll
they
be
gotta
betting on Kalshi and everything else. Oh, yeah, he's going to blow a save. Oh, look, I won $100,000. Weird.
Hey, you guys, what about Tyler Glass now? Apparently he's going to be made available. Maybe he wants to be a Yankee.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I know.
You talk
He
about
probably hates the Yankees.
You talk about Giancarlo Stanton being made of glass. That dude's arm is made of glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which fits perfectly with his last name, by the way. Glass
He's not
now?
glass later, he's
Yes,
glass
glass now.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's such a good dude, though.
And with Giancarlo Stanton, I told Jeremy this during the season. When he came back off the IL and was just tearing the world up, I'm like, I do not want to see this man in the majors until June. Leave his ass in Tampa at the complex, working out, staying warm, bring his ass up in June, and just let him go ham.
For real. That's what they need to do at this point. Just, leave him on the IL till like July every year.
I agree with that.
Because he gets hot and he carries his team for a good stretch. So if you start it later in the year, that gives us a better opportunity.
Definitely.
And you figure if you bring him up when the Yankees take their typical June swoon,
oh god,
sounds like a recipe for perfection right there. You get him coming in hot, carrying the team for a couple of months. That sounds like the perfect opportunity.
But then he went cold in the postseason. He was nowhere to be found. Like,
yeah, well, listen.
Playoff Giancarlo was MIA. Well, playoff, the whole team was MIA.
Right, right.
Except for Judge. He showed up and did his part with the game-tying home run.
Good.
But,
yes, he did. So now I kind of want to move into some bold predictions. Obviously, this time of year, we see a lot of random suggestions. Obviously, Michael Kay, we mentioned earlier, making the bold statement about the Yankees going after Fernando Tatis Jr. What are some bold predictions we'd like to see take place this winter trade meetings?
I'll go. I was listening this morning to 161st Street, River Avenue. I don't know if you guys listen to them, so I can't take credit for this bold prediction, but I loved it. The Yankees don't get Bellinger, they don't get Tucker, but what's the solution? 2 players instead. They go and they get Kazuma Okamoto to platoon at third with McMahon, and he can also play the outfield, apparently, and then trade for Brendan Donovan. So you have 2 contact bats. Donovan plays every position. I don't know him that well. I'm taking their word for it. And he brings versatility. So these 2 instead of 1, you get 2 contact hitters, versatility, lower dollars, athleticism, etc. So I give kudos to them, but I thought it was a great idea because, like I said, I feel dubious about the Yankees actually landing the big fish, but maybe this is the year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Aiden, can you tell us a little more about Brendan Donovan?
Yeah. Plays second, third, shortstop, all outfield positions. Can play first if you need him to. Plays everything but a pitcher and a catcher, man. He's the utility.
Yeah.
And he can bring a bat with him too. So not
Yep.
And the
just
Yankees love those kind of guys.
Yep. Yeah, I've really liked the idea of getting Donovan for a long time. And obviously the Cardinals seem to be in a position right now where that could be more of a possibility than in previous years. So I would definitely like to see that happen. Johnny, you
All
want to
right.
put a bold prediction?
How about the Phillies move Alec Baum and they get Suarez?
It's an interesting move.
Okay.
Really an interesting move. Yeah, I mean, you figure Alec Boehm has been one of him and Nick Castellanos have been the two guys most talked about coming off of the Phillies roster, and especially with a lot of controversy with amongst Phillies fans about the fact that they keep running it back with the same squad after having not really gotten any real success. After that impromptu World Series run of 2022,
Their bats they just go cold. They go cold. Yeah.
Yep.
Their bats go cold every postseason, so I would not be surprised to see them try to sign a power hitter.
Yeah, and especially in that ballpark, Citizens Bank Park, Eugenio Suarez would go absolutely crazy in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Rome, Aiden, Dave, any bold predictions?
Yeah, I got two of them. So think you're gonna see Tatis Jr. go to the Yankees for Spencer Jones. Jason Dominguez in ERC, and the Yankees are gonna take on the money. And I think you're gonna see Tatsuro Amai sign with the Yankees for 8 years at 210.
I hope you're right. God, from your mouth to God's ear.
Yeah, I mean, Amai looks like the real deal. If we can start getting back into that Japanese market, something that the Yankees were very much known for, you figure, back to, Hideki Matsui and Masahiro Tanaka, even as far back as Hideki Arabu for whatever that was worth. But
R.I.P.
But, I think getting back into that market, obviously there was a lot of hope the Yankees were going to be able to get Ohtani. Obviously that clearly was not going to be the case. But Amai, in the comments that we've heard, from his camp about not wanting to be on the Dodgers,
Wants to beat them.
Yeah, that he wants to beat the Dodgers,
So,
to be on a team with another Japanese player. Like he wants to be the Japanese player on the team.
Yeah.
So,
that's why this makes sense. Like the man is literally throwing himself at you. It's like, please do not screw this up again like you did with Harper.
Yeah.
See, you guys say that. I'm hearing "Welcome to the Arizona Diamondbacks," my friend. Yeah, there
Now
you go.
I really know you're drinking that yak.
let me tell you something. Hold on. Wait. No,
point proven.
So
I think you're a good person. I've been laughing at your jokes more. That's how you know I've been drinking.
So we have a comment here from Julie Moran. A's move Lawrence Butler for a number 3 starter.
Ooh.
And pick a team, pick a name.
I don't see it happening.
I like the bold. I like the boldness. That's pretty fresh. I like it.
Definitely a bold pick. Yeah, I think the A's are really interesting, right? Because we kind of brought this up a little bit earlier with the young players that they have there. Kind of laying in wait. Almost, it feels like that they're doing right now with playing in this minor league ballpark in Sacramento, leading into the new stadium in Vegas. I think they could be a very, very sleeper candidate, especially in that AL West. I think, outside of the Mariners, who you assume as the favorites for the AL West right now, with kind of the regression of the Astros, with not really knowing what the direction of the Rangers are, you could see the A's kind of, start making some inroads with that young core that they have.
Maybe they sign Bellinger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but they went out and gave big money to Luis Severino last year, so never know.
the first time in a long time that they gave someone a multi-year deal for that amount of money. I'm like, 3 years,
Yeah.
67 million. Like, really? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, one team we haven't talked about at all is the Royals. Like, I was just thinking, like, who do they even have right now? Like, what are they trying to do around Bobby Witt, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's very interesting because, obviously they went out early this offseason, re-signed Sal Perez, the captain of that squad. And that was you have to make that move if you're the Royals. Like, you can't let him walk. But beyond that, obviously Bobby Witt, probably top 3 player in baseball when he's going well and healthy. And then you have your opportunity to, build with guys like Vinny Pasquantino. And then beyond that, kind of what's
Jack Caglione too.
right. So
Yeah.
that's an opportunity now with a young player there. But beyond that, what are they doing? How are they going to refortify that rotation? So there's a lot of opportunities there for the Royals. They tried to make a move last year, bringing in Jonathan India to be a leadoff guy. That did not work out whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Because like I said, 2 years ago, they were in the postseason. And last year they were not really close to that. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think that's a good call out by you, Jonna.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean, because to Julie's question or Julie's proposition or whatever question, I was thinking like, I don't know, maybe like Bubich or something like that could go from the Royals, and then they would get somebody like Butler.
That would
So
be
I don't know. I was
interesting.
just trying to think of like teams we hadn't talked about and like who do they have that they could move.
Speaking of a team that we haven't talked about, if Arenado gets moved, what chances are that maybe a Chris Bryant deal might be out there? Like I could see that kind of being some sort of like a rare, hey, Chris Bryant just got moved to the, oh, okay, well, where?
No,
He could be a good suitor for Alec Baum though. If the Phillies move Baum, that could be a good suitor for them.
Yeah.
Or for him, if they moved Arenado.
And with case of Chris Bryant, he's too injured too often.
I was thinking the same thing.
He did not do anything last year at all. And getting back to the Royals, I think the reason why the Royals really haven't built around Witt is probably because they spent all their money on him. They gave him $340 million.
Well,
that's a lot of money for a team that is considered a small market team. I'm like, where the hell did they find all of that? And why aren't they spreading it around? This is what cracks me up with small market teams in general, right? Back in the day, you saw that the Tigers do this with Miguel Cabrera when they were struggling and couldn't get out of last place. It's like, you got this much money, spread it around. You saw the Rockies do it with Chris Bryant. You saw the Royals do it with Bobby Witt Jr. If you as a small market team have $340 million sitting around, obviously he's not getting it all at once, but if you make that commitment and you have the ability to do that to one player, why aren't you spreading what you have to pay one guy out amongst the entire roster? That's what I don't understand. I get it. You need to get fans into the stadium and fill the seats. I get that aspect of it, but like they always, these small market teams always go sign that one big name and then do nothing for that for the entirety of that player's contract.
But to be fair, the Royals did that though with Alex Gordon. So like they actually did that. So
right.
I feel like he's their Alex Gordon. They're trying to do that again. So I wouldn't say that they're out on like building around him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's also interesting because, we know right before they gave that contract to Alex Gordon, after that kind of led into their winning the World Series in 2015. So, who's to say that this wasn't the move that kind of made the rest of the guys on that roster, made other teams look like, all right, they're trying to build around this guy who's, one of the best players in baseball right now. So why not try and start to build around them? But I kind of want to toss it to Rome. Rome, you are a fan of a small market team, and we, obviously saw the Rays give out quite a large extension to.
We don't talk about that.
He who shall not be named.
But oh yeah, that guy.
We don't talk about that. We're good.
But you're still kind of dealing with the ramifications of that financial aspect of it. So, kind of shed some light on your perspective.
So I was thinking about basically how would you revolve around a big contract with a smaller team. It would make sense if you have a lot of prospects that are growing in with that bigger guy. Like case in point, a couple years, and I don't mean be Mr. Redundant, but when the Rays offered Aaron Judge legitimate $300 million, okay, they offered that contract. So the Rays would have been kind of in that same ballpark, but the Rays had the prospects to build around the Judge. So that would have been that would be a situation where it would be a good fit, where you have a big contract like a Bobby Witt Jr., and then you build around the prospects. Now the problem is, do you have patience with those prospects, or do you trade those prospects for bigger names to go with your Bobby Witts? And then you're starting to have a situation like the Orioles are currently experiencing, where you traded your guys to try to build around and make that push, and you've depleted your prospect core. So that's a situation where as a smaller market team, or a fan of a smaller market team, you like the idea. You like it because it's something where there's capability of it, especially if you are in the nitty gritty of how much your owner's worth, per se. Like, for example, the Rays owner just spent $1.6 billion or whatnot to pick up the Rays. So it would be really nice to have just some of that in payroll. $200 million, that would be great. Granted, it's not my money, but that would be really awesome. It's in lock down Junior Caminero for 12 years and just have him stay away from vices in Dom Rep, hypothetically speaking.
Just keep him out of Ybor City.
You know what? Ybor City has a lot of great, funny people who were great bartenders and bouncers there. Okay. All right. Just saying. But no, Ybor City, for those who don't know, is the party district of Tampa. So high five there. But no, but getting back to the smaller market teams, I think the whole point is investment in something more than every 4 years you get a good guy and he goes away, like the Oakland A's had to suffer through for years. They would have great pitching for year in, year out. Heron, Zito, so on and so forth. We could play this game for a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And you see those guys, you have a relationship, and you see that they're making a playoff push, and then you trade them for prospects. The Rays, same thing. We got a guy through his second arbitration, then it's starting to become the whispers. Okay, he's going to be traded to this guy. Oh, we can't hold on to him. He's making too much money. Okay, great. So for a smaller market team to have that investment into somebody, that's a relief. That's a hey guys, we got something good going for you. So it's not going to be the same song and dance. I joke with my wife real quick is I rarely ever buy a jersey with a number on the back of it. Why? Because the guy's not going to be there in 3 or 4 years. Period. Yeah. For me to get an investment like that, so a lot of my stuff has no name on the back of it. I got a Longoria one. Yeah, sure. But it looked bad for a while because he was in San Francisco. So it's that type of plight that the smaller market clubs tend to have. So Neil Cruz, I can see a Pittsburgh Pirate fan getting a little bit hesitant. And the more and more years that evolve and the Royals don't do anything, I can see Bobby Witt Jr. going off to another club, going to Chicago White Sox as they make a run. I can see something like that. So I know it's in your backyard, Ms. Jonna, but yeah, I could see something like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant, but bottom line is, as long as there's something positive, I think we could build around that.
And the one thing
we have a breaking news. The Blue Jays signed Cody Ponce to a 3-year, $30 million deal.
Is it bad that I have no idea who this guy even is?
He was pitching
Excellent
in the
starter.
Like a 17-1 record with a 1.89 ERA.
In Korea.
Same. Okay.
In Korea. I'll leave it at that.
In Korea.
I like that.
Not to talk trash about the KBO, but like I don't really know that much about it. So like what's the comparative competition level to Major League Baseball. That's what I'm getting
3
at.
year, 30 million is what's like mind blowing to me. Like,
Yeah.
you don't even know that it's going to translate. That's
That's what I'm
crazy.
saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think
But they're trying to get savvy at the back end of their or at the back end of their rotation. It looks like.
Yeah. I also think that it's interesting because just a couple of seasons back, they picked up Yariel Rodriguez from, I believe it was the KBO, and that really didn't work out quite how they were hoping for
No.
either.
That's why I question it.
And he's now pitching out of their bullpen. But you figure a guy like this, they're plugging in, like Jonna said, to the back end of their rotation. So, you know, this to me is going to be an interesting move, especially after already picking up Dylan Cease. Like the Blue Jays are really going hard after it. They're listed as the favorites for Kyle Tucker. So it's going to be interesting to see a team that came within a spike of winning the World Series. You know, they're really trying to refortify themselves in a big way right now.
Mhm.
Hey, Ro, let me ask you something. Getting back to the small market team thing with he who shall not be named. How in the world were the Rays not able to avoid that contract when everything went down? Because we saw Trevor Bauer with the Dodgers. They were able to get out of not paying him at all while he was going through what he was going through. So how were the Rays not able to avoid he who shall not be named's contract and stop paying the guy?
Because it's in the middle of investigation, because Major League Baseball hasn't done their official investigation.
It's
That's
been
where
what, 4 years?
it seems like 4 years, but no, it's only been 2.5, because it was in 2023. I remember that he hit the game-winning home run against the Guardians, and he's pretty much almost rounding the bases, and then it becomes viral on Twitter at the time period. But to get back to your point, with Wander Franco, that's who we're talking about. He will not be named. It has to do because he's on the suspended list. And what happens is, as spring training comes across, he officially gets reinstated briefly, and then he gets moved back onto the suspended list because of the issues that he is enduring over there. Enduring is a pretty self-inflicted wounds, bottom line.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to highlight that at all, or bottom line is he was convicted by his peers of that crime moving forward. And no, I'm sorry. But anyways, moving forward. So getting back to the subject is his whole contract is not actually being paid. I believe he's not getting paid a complete major league salary because he's on that suspended list. Now, if he does break, or if he gets off or whatnot, then he's looking at back pay, and that could be interesting. So
You shouldn't be getting a dime.
Yeah.
And like 2.5 years and Major League Baseball hasn't done an investigation. What the hell are they waiting for?
So they have to wait
Like-
till the legal proceedings kind of conclude
Yeah.
before they can do their part.
But he's been convicted. He's in
Well-
jail. So
he got convicted, but remember, he had a major conviction. Then it was almost like downgraded
Yeah.
to a few things, and that whole situation itself is another podcast for another time.
or not.
Or not, indeed, because there's a lot of things going on. But the bottom line is, because he's even appealing it now, as we speak, and then on top of that, he had gun charges there. It gets really convoluted very quickly, because then you're also talking about what's the judicial system in that state in Dom Rep like, and what's going on with their politics and things to that accordance, and it gets very convoluted very quickly. So bottom line is, eventually that contract I can see easily will be voided. But right now the Rays aren't on the hook. They're not paying him the $12 million that he's due. I believe they're paying him something lighter, I think $2 million or something to that accordance. But they're not on the hook for the complete $12 million.
If he ends up getting off and they vacate the conviction and he's allowed to play baseball again, Trevor Bauer is going to have, I'm just saying, if they ever did, hypothetically, like that would be such a black stain, a stain on this sport that would be irreversible because, like, no, just no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys we're not going to ever see back in baseball. So
and for good reason.
He's one of them. So, but kind of moving on to kind of bring this to a close. obviously this has been.
I was just curious as to like how it works out with the contract and like how that was how they were getting out of it or not, or how they weren't able to get out of it. So
for sure. But it's been a fun ride, kind of previewing the winter meetings. Obviously, there's a lot that can happen, a lot that can change in the course of 1 week's time in Major League Baseball, especially this particular week upcoming. Next week is the winter meetings. So it's definitely been a fun conversation. We want to thank our special guest, Jonna, for joining us here. Jonna, let everybody know where they can get more content from you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at 90s Yanks Kid. On Instagram, I run the Babes Media page. So it's Babes Media. And then I also write and cover and will be covering the winter meetings for ONNJ, ONNJ Sports. So you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the things. And Roman, I hope you enjoyed your stay at GMS Field. I just want to say that before we
eviction's been served. Get out.
So yeah, it was wonderful.
And y'all still couldn't make the playoffs.
We really needed you to take down the Blue Jays.
Rub it in.
I sincerely hope you had a good experience at GMS.
True story. I've been going there. So my dad was stationed here my dad was stationed here in Tampa in '99. So I've been going to that field because it was $2. You can catch a ball game and get $1 hot dogs. And then, when I was of age of drinking. So I've been going to that field for years. So to see how bright and vibrant it was, and they really did their best to make that into a major league ballpark. And now you find out that the Yankees refused to allow the Rays to put up a wall to prevent the swirling winds there. Very cute, great gamesmanship. $15 million for what? Yeah, you're welcome. Or add additional seats. That was cute too. That was awesome. But but anyways, but no, it was a pleasure. It was really awesome to see the boys playing natural grass. And it was outstanding to see national media realize that there are thriving Rays fans that are willing to shell out $200 to $300 a seat for a 9,000 seat stadium, and we can sell that pretty much most of the time. It was great to see, and you know what? I'm really excited about the potential for more outside baseball.
I'm surprised the fans were able to afford to go.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, we're oof. Yeah. What's money? I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Well, just a little bit of a teaser preview. These two will be bringing their act to a show here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast very soon. So keep it locked in. As always, if you haven't hit that subscribe button down below, we do appreciate you joining us here. And by hitting that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications, you will be notified each and every time we drop new content like this incredible show we have had. Again, Jonna, we want to thank you for joining us here. It's been our pleasure to host you and be able to have all of your wonderful insight. So for the team here at the Baseball Banter Broadcast, we want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.